Thibodeau has been let go as head coach of the New York Knicks. And I
Yeah,
know you feel strongly about it, so go
I
ahead.
was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. Literally, they have made, outside of the second year under Thibodeau, they have made improvements both in the win column. They've also been able to go deeper into the playoffs. I know that 2 years prior to this one, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals, and 2 of the last 3 years, they've lost the eventual Eastern Conference Finals representative, the Miami Heat, and now the Pacers. Thibodeau was literally the best thing you got, and literally, I'm not saying he's not the best coach in the NBA. Let me just clear that up before I accidentally say something like that. He's not. He is not. The one thing that I don't understand with this is just how the egos are playing out on this. Because I know The Athletic, and I haven't been able to read through the whole piece. Apparently, both James Dolan and Leon Rose were on board with this move. We heard that I believe Jalen Brunson wanted Thibodeau back. And the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Just to take a little bit of a phrase, one of those common old phrases that I don't know. Like, literally, there are teams who have just collapsed after a whole change. Like, I don't think this is a change that's going to be for the benefit. Like, Cavs and Bickerstaff to, Cavs and Atkinson, that's one thing. Going from a proven coach like Thibodeau, and I'm not saying, in terms of a championship, I'm saying a guy who's still shown results over the years, that's a tough sell for me. And if you're a New York Knicks fan, I think you have every right to be angry. And if this backfires, this is going to be worse than probably if anything goes wrong. And I'm going to just make this out of the ballpark comparison. If Craig Breslow were to trade Rafael Devers after all the crap that's gone on this season, it would be like this. It would be, everyone would be ticked off. And I think as soon as something happens next year, as soon as someone's moved, whether it's Cat, whether it's Brunson, whoever it is, because someone has an ego, whether it's a surprise like out of the Doncic page, I think the New York Knicks have lost all benefit of the doubt that they were going to improve, and I think they're going to fall to at least the bottom half of the contender, status. Probably, what I'm trying to say is like they're probably going to be no better than the 10 seed, no worse than the 3 seed, whatever.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Cat here in a few minutes, but I want to address this first. Let me say this. So, Fitz, the Denver Nuggets, right before the NBA playoffs, fired their head coach.
And I hated that. It's just like people have so much of an ego.
He was an NBA Finals winning head coach. And by the way, there were rumors that if he didn't win the championship in 2023, he was going to get fired after that season. Same thing happened in Milwaukee with Bud. They obviously won the championship, then got rid of him a couple years later.
Yeah, Phoenix got rid of their head coach, Monty Williams.
I think what Denver has shown us this finals run, I'll be honest with you, I don't think coaching matters that much in basketball. I think Nikola Jokic coached that Nuggets team. I don't care what anybody says. I think Jokic and Russell Westbrook, for the most part, coached that team. And they took Oklahoma City to 7 games, and you can make an argument. They make a shot here or there. They beat the eventual NBA champions. The other thing is, I think that this was a telltale sign of if the Knicks did not win the NBA championship, they had already made the decision prior to the playoffs that Thibodeau was going to get fired. And I'll throw one more thing at you. What is the difference in resume between Tom Thibodeau and our former head coach, J.B. Bickerstaff? Because I see no difference in resume. And I like Thibodeau.
Well, Thibodeau did have a rose that got depleted very quickly. I'll just give him that little caveat.
But, he hasn't been to the NBA Finals yet. He is seen as a grumpy old man in the building that plays his players very hard. And I do think that the Knicks, they do need to change up stylistically, offensively. And I completely disagree with you about that they're going to fall because I look at the East this year and I am already saying,
yeah, Boston's it's open because you got the Cavs, Pacers, Knicks, and whoever else.
That's it. I mean, maybe Detroit, but my feelings on their coach.
Oh, we both know they're not going to get that far into the postseason if they can't.
And this is the other thing I brought up. Now that Boston has obviously Tatum's out for the year, I brought this up to Josh a couple weeks ago. Do the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis say, you know what, let's run it back one more year and see what happens?
I say they do. Even without a Damian Lillard, I think the Milwaukee Bucks could be a really interesting team. I'm not guaranteeing them winning anything, but that would be interesting. I think Giannis, if Giannis follows the route that other stars have done and left the franchise that drafted them, I think he ends up being not anywhere close to being talked about as one of the greats. I'm not saying up there with Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, etc., but he will have a completely diminished legacy. And I know that sounds weird to say, but you cannot, when you win your first title with your original team, and if you can go out and win another, that is so huge. And I think Giannis, if he were to be moved, and I think this is something he's probably weighing, I'm speculating here, speculation. If he moves to another team and then wins a title, I think that diminishes a lot of what he was looking to do through his career, and that's going to be a big red mark on him. He's still going to go to the Hall of Fame, yes, but I don't think he will be remembered in the same way if he just were to stay in Milwaukee nearly the entirety of career, maybe just 1 year at the final season somewhere else.
Oh, I disagree with that completely. I think if he's done everything he could in Milwaukee, if he asked to go to Houston or go to San Antonio and win multiple championships, he will be remembered more.
Mm-hmm. I don't think so.
All about championships. That's you know what people say. You know why people say Jordan's the GOAT, because he went 6 for 6. It's not that Bill Russell,
but he had to take time off in between. Is where I think again. You can argue the whole ring thing, but that's why I think LeBron
doesn't care about that. That's what
I think LeBron. Let's just take the rings out of it. Take the rings out of it. All right. I think LeBron's just the GOAT based off of the finals appearances. That is something that's.
I agree with you, but I'm telling you what people say in history.
Exactly.
What people will say about Giannis in history is he won more championships out of Milwaukee.
I think he's still got a better shot in Milwaukee, because here's the thing: they're going to have to get some. They're going to have to get creative, and it may lead to some difficult decisions, but I think there's still a pathway. Like, who am I trying to think of? Like, what? Didn't Dirk Nowitzki have, he had Steve Nash back in the day. And then they got creative. They ended up winning a title with him, Jason Kidd, and
he was not on that 2011 team. Maybe I was wrong.
No, Jason Kidd? Yeah, Jason Kidd was.
Jason Kidd was on it, but not Nash.
I know. That's why I said Nash way back. Before, this was back before he was Suns Nash. So,
all right. Let's talk about another guy here, Cat. So I wanted to bring this topic up because there's been a lot of speculation for a Cat for Kevin Durant trade.
Just say no. Just say no is literally, I'm just jumping in right now. I'm saying no.
So
not because of Kevin Durant's talent, not because of Cat's talent. Kevin Durant, everywhere he has gone the last few years, has ended up going, and sorry for the non-censors, to shit at this point. It's gone to absolute baloney.
Can you blame Durant for what happened in Phoenix? Durant hasn't been the issue in Phoenix.
No, but he's been part of the problem. I think I think people are not really. At all.
I think here's the problem. The team has traded Durant to be their number one. He's not the number one anymore. He is a number two. If he goes to New York, he would be the number two, because he would be in the role that he was with Steph Curry and Golden State. All he would have to do would be to get buckets.
But how many games has he been healthy for the last couple of years? I'm asking legitimately. I'm not asking as
I would say around 65-ish. I can look it up right now and tell you.
Yeah, look it up, because I barely ever. When I read Sports Center headlines, sometimes it feels like this is just.
So this year,
it just feels like he's always injured, though. That's the problem, and I don't think you can trade a guy like Cat, especially since I don't think Minnesota should have traded him in the first place. I know you and I have disagreed on that. I thought that was a stunner to begin with.
So 2 years ago, he played 75 games.
Mm-hmm.
This past season that just ended, is going to end in 2 weeks. He played 62.
Yeah, how old is Durant? Durant's 36, and he'll turn 37 before the season.
On my birthday, by the way. Me and him share the same birthday, September 29th. So, listen, I think
this were 33-year-old Kevin Durant, I'd say yes. But when you're having a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, hell no.
I'll throw this at you. They should not do Durant for Cat straight up. However, I do think to be on a championship team, that's where me and you disagree. I think Cat is actually your number 3, not your number 2. I think
Cat's still an integral part. Yes, I don't think I could waver on him.
I would love Brunson, KD, and Cat if all you would have to give up would be picks and Mikal Bridges. That I would do, but I'm not sure Phoenix would do it.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like there are egos that would get in the way at ownership levels between HBA and Dolan. Don't know why, just my gut hunch.
See, this, and I've been hard on Kevin Durant. We all have because of the Golden State situation. But I really think, actually, if you're looking back in Brooklyn, he wasn't the problem in Brooklyn.
He wasn't.
James Harden got fat, ate Oreos, and said, "Get me out of here." And Kyrie Irving was all on his vaccine.
Well, didn't he do that in Houston first and then got flipped? Or was
but he did the same thing in Brooklyn and said, "Get me out of here."
Problem was Kyrie to a degree, because Kyrie Irving, as much as we love him for the shot that he took, I mean, Kyrie just was a distraction.
Well, I got to give him this. Since he went to Dallas, he's grown up a lot and he's talking.
All right, yeah, we can both agree on that.
So the other thing is, in Phoenix, in my opinion, their mistake was not getting Durant. It was trading Chris Paul for Bradley Beal.
Exactly. Because Paul was like, he's your floor general. He is a literal point guard.
And I said at the time, Bradley Beal and Devin Booker's games are too redundant. It's not going to work. I thought it was a bad.
I don't know how they thought that was going to work.
So my point is, I actually think Durant in New York, which is where he should have went in 2019 to begin with, I actually think it works. I'm just going to throw one more thing out there about Durant, which is completely off topic.
Okay.
Fitz, I think you know where I'm going.
I might.
Let's say the Indiana Pacers shock the world and win the championship. Durant back to his old stomping grounds?
Yes, give me. The sin. The sin of the past.
You probably have to give up. I would say Shed Holmgren is who I would want if I was Phoenix.
The price I'd be willing to pay, to be honest.
And this is where it's funny. Me and a buddy that not many people on championship rings probably know this man, but our good friend Austin Arnold from Buck, when I had him on in March, we had this debate about Jalen Williams and Shed Holmgren and who the real number 2 on that team was.
Yeah.
He's more higher on Jalen Williams than I am. Mm-hmm. I personally think Shed Holmgren has a higher ceiling. I like Jalen Williams, but again, I think on a championship team, he's probably your 3, not your 2. And so I think I would probably
in Oklahoma City. They definitely win a repeat this decade. I think they would, if they lose this year. Let's just say, for argument's sake, for that crazy scenario you threw out, I think Oklahoma City will win the next 2 after this year if they were to reacquire Durant and ship out Holmgren as part of the package. They hang on to Williams, honestly, and I think Durant would get a big, not just favorability boost, but a boost to his legacy as well. It's not just because of the rings. He writes the ship, and it's not like the LeBron thing, but because LeBron was from here. Durant was not from Oklahoma City. He's from the D.C. area, right?
The other difference, though, is when LeBron came back here, he was the number 1. Durant would be the number 1 in OKC. It would still be SGA's team.
Mm-hmm. And that's where I wonder, and Sam Presti's a very smart GM. He's had his job for nearly 2 decades at this point.
He's the Howie Roseman of NBA GMs without a Super Bowl ring at this point.
He is.
Without an NBA ring.
This is where I wonder if I'm in Sam Presti's shoes. Does bringing in Durant, whether you win the title or not, and we're saying this under the not scenario, if you don't win the title, does bringing in Durant cause problems? I don't think it should, but that's where Presti's got to ask himself. It's a hypothetical, but again, I don't know what he's thinking because he's someone who's on a completely different plane than both of us.